Here are 10 things that you are doing that are keeping you poor. Hi, my name is Jacob Topley. I'm an international financial advisor and I currently live and work here in Mexico City. In my time working here as a financial advisor, I've discovered several things that I used to do and that I've seen clients do that actually put them as a massive disadvantage for kind of keeping them poor for kind of potentially the rest of their lives. I've seen clients make these mistakes and it's made me a better person. And I want to make sure I'm sharing that with you guys so that you can start making better financial decisions and putting yourself on that pathway for success. Number one then, one of the things that I see that people do is just not care about their finances. You clearly do care because you're watching this video. And one of the things that I think it's super important to do is take care of your money, take care of your finances, because as you get older, it's one of the only things that are going to take care of you. And that only works if you actually care about what you're doing. So that was number one, not caring, which you guys don't have a problem with, but you'll be surprised how often I see it. Number two is actually setting a good, solid financial plan. Many of you watching this very video want to get rich or you want to stop having to worry about your finances. And there is no use sitting there saying, well, I'm going to get rich one day. I'll get financially secure when I'm a bit older. None of that is going to happen if you don't plan for it to happen. If I ask you, do you want to be rich? You should know how rich you want to be, when you want to have that net worth. You want to know when you're financially secure. You want to know exactly how much you need every single month right now and in 20 years' time, so you don't have to worry about finances again. Most importantly, you need to have a plan that's going to help you get there. Make a plan, stick to it, review it, and make sure that you are on top of your finances and you have a clear goal and plan in mind. Now, a lot of people who are poor and that don't have a lot of money and that haven't managed to save a lot of money are doing this as well, which is not actually tracking your income and your expenses. So one of the most important things, like how can you make a plan if you don't know what you're planning around? You're going to have an income. Now that can grow, that can reduce. You're going to have expenses. That can grow, that can reduce. But you need to understand what they are. You need to track them. You need to make your plan around it. And what I see a lot of poor people do, or people that are trying to get more rich and are just staying poor, is they're not tracking and managing their expenses. Number four then, one of the worst financial mistakes, financial habits that is keeping people down here in Mexico and in Latin America is comfort and this admiration for credit cards and for meses sin intereses and for getting comfortable with essentially very bad debt. It's absolutely crazy to me to see people that are paying money for things that they don't need and can't afford and kind of justifying it because they can pay it back later and they're just using a credit card for it. I've created a rule for myself now where I don't use credit cards for things that I wouldn't already be able to buy with the cash that's in my account. Don't forget that credit card companies make their money when you take on some debt that you can't quite afford to pay back, definitely not in full, and therefore they can charge you interest on that and you have to pay them more money back. That's exactly how a credit card company makes its money. And if you're following that path, you're letting the credit card companies win. In fact, you're keeping the credit card companies rich. You're keeping yourself, well, still quite poor. Why is it so vital that you don't overspend on credit cards, especially in Mexico? Well, the main reason for that is, of course, that their interest rates are ridiculously high. Ridiculously high. I had a quick look on a variety of different websites here in Mexico, and you'll find credit cards from 30% a year all the way up to 100% a year in interest. Can you imagine if you fell behind on one of those, the amount of interest you'd be paying every single month? It's just phenomenal. It's just outrageous, to be honest. Our fifth important point, and one of the habits that I see people make and people choose not to do that keeps them kind of not where they want to be financially, is by not having an emergency fund. Now, I've covered this in length multiple times. I'm going to leave a link for you to look at why you need an emergency fund. But it is super important that you have something that you are making sure that you're keeping you and your loved ones safe, and you've got some money there kind of for a rainy day, kind of if you lose your job, if anything happened that you needed to pay that capital for, you've got it. You've got essentially a buffer between you and a credit card, you and the next 3-6 months. Normally 3 is enough, but could be 6 months, so that you've got enough capital to make sure you can live off of that and not get into any serious debt, because that is 100% going to keep you poor if you are not paying off things when you should be and keeping yourself into bad debt or actually getting into debt in the first place. Number 6, and one of the habits that I think is most likely to keep you poor if you don't change it. It's one of the easiest ones to change and something that's super important that you do change. That is paying yourself last. It's a habit that I was in for a long time. It's a habit that I see people in right now. And basically, there's two ways of paying yourself. So when you get your paycheck, there's two ways of spending it. One option is to go ahead and just pay all your bills, all your rent, all of your shopping, all of your going out, all of your food, and then whatever's left over, you can think about saving that. And that's the poor people way of doing things. The rich people way of doing things is actually to get your paycheck, get your quincena, and then immediately pay 10, 20, 30% of that into a savings account or into an investment account. And it's just there, automatic, out of sight, out of mind. That's your only bill. And what happens then is you've at least got something put away for savings. If you're doing option one, the poor people method, you'll often find yourself at the end of every month with very little or not that much that you can contribute to an investment account, if anything. The other way around of doing things is you've got your investments taken care of, your future is taken care of, and then from there you can start to live within your kind of new paycheck, if you like. It's almost like a second taxes. You might be asking me, Jacob, how can I pay myself first? I'm living paycheck to paycheck. I'm really struggling as it is. But actually, what you'll find is that, and what a lot of people find is that once they pay themselves first, you've got this new paycheck to work around. And so you start to kind of think of things slightly differently. You maybe choose to eat out a little bit less frequently. You maybe choose to sort of be a bit more careful with what you're kind of spending your money on, because you've almost boxed yourself in to a new amount of capital that you've got to work with every month. And it's not just the sky's the limit anymore. Easiest way to break this habit, do it first, do it one day after your paycheck, and set it up to be automatic, out of sight, out of mind. And importantly, to make this work and make this habit make you more rich and not keep you poor, you have to never touch the money that you've put to one side. You've got to keep it in your mind as though it's locked away in a vault and it's not accessible. It's not money you can just touch and use. The key is to make yourself the priority. And if you make yourself the priority, you will thank me later. Number 7 is a super easy habit for you to stop, although it's one that can sneak up on you, and that is lifestyle creep. As your income starts to increase, your habits and your spending habits start to increase as well. You maybe start to eat out at restaurants more regularly. Maybe you go to nicer restaurants. Maybe you start to go and do activities a little bit more frequently. Maybe you spend more on hobbies. There's a whole bunch of things you can start doing as your income increases. And importantly, because that lifestyle's creeping up, sometimes and quite often, that saving level, that investment level, that emergency fund, that financial plan that you had at the start that you should be reviewing, you stop reviewing. And it can keep you at a level where it's not in line with your goals and dreams, and it's just because your lifestyle's crept up with your income. Now, I'm not saying don't have your lifestyle keep up with your income. I think it's important that as you earn more, you reward yourself. Life's about living. Go and buy those nice things at 100%. But make sure that that's not coming at a cost to your future finances, your future self. Number 8, super important habit, something that is vital for both personal and for investments, and that is tax optimization. It's a habit that poor people, they don't take much into account. They kind of just pay their taxes as and what they're told to, and they don't look for areas of opportunity. There's 2 reasons why this is massively important. First of all, we'll look at the income side. As your income is increasing, it means you've got more capital available to put towards investments, savings, and even spend on yourself. The only way you can do that, or often it's very difficult to get an increase in salary, but often it's actually quite easy to reduce the amount of taxes that you need to pay. Now, in the UK, it's a little bit more complicated. We have a pay-as-you-earn system. You can claim a little bit of tax back. If you're self-employed in the UK, though, 100%, you should be trying to optimize taxes to the best of your ability. The same in the US. If you have the opportunity to do something that is going to lower your tax burden, defer taxes, or get tax back from things, i.e. if you're making money from something and you can claim it as an expense, you should be claiming it as an expense. Why? Because you get more money every single year. You can work on yourself, work on your investments, and kind of just have more capital to help you grow on your financial journey. Now, that's on the income side of things. What we need to look at now is actually on the investment side, which is where I kind of specialize in. I do want to preface this by saying that I am not a tax advisor. I am not a tax authority expert. And where you live in the US, the States, here in Mexico, there's going to be various laws that change slightly. Now, what I specialize in helping my clients with is opening tax advantageous investment accounts. When it comes to an investment, I've already talked about this a whole bunch of times. Maybe I'll put another video in the top right-hand corner for you. But the super important thing if you're paying capital gains tax and you're paying a lot of it, the amount of exponential growth that you will see in your return on investment starts to diminish. Don't leave it up to chance. Make sure you are capitalizing on the compounding returns of investment. 10% compounded per year is so much better than 6% compounded per year. And again, your future self will thank you if you find ways of optimizing what you're doing when it comes to paying taxes. Number 9, a habit that poor people do is just not invest. What I see a lot of people do, and what I have helped people do as well, is stop just saving into a savings account. Savings accounts aren't really there to help you. They're there for the bank. They're there to actually make the bank rich. Are you okay with making the bank rich? I didn't think so. The whole point of having capital that you can use to invest is to make your money work and grow for you, so you can start reaping the benefits of that as you grow older. But there's 2 kind of ways. You can invest in the stock market. You can invest in external assets that are going to make you more rich over time, but you can also invest in yourself, and you should definitely do a mixture of the two. If you invest in yourself, this could be things like taking courses. This could be things like acquiring licenses that allow you to expand your income generating potential. You're investing in things that are going to make you more money, be that physical assets, like stocks, like bonds, like cars, like houses, things that are going to appreciate in value and you're going to reap the rewards of that, or you're investing into yourself. Finally, number 10, and this is something that I think is super important. One of the habits that kind of keeps a lot of people down is that they don't have that plan in place, but also that they don't have someone helping them. There's a bit of a champion to help them work and manage on their own personal finances. Of course, the habit that keeps people down the most is not hiring a financial advisor to help you manage your finances better. Actually, there's an article and a study from Schwab that I'm going to put on the screen right now that looked at individuals saving for their retirement. And the amazing thing is that they found that people that hired an advisor, hired someone to help them manage their finances, actually ended up with, on average, twice the amount of capital compared to someone who tried to go it alone. And so if that's the only thing you take away from this video, then I'd be pretty happy as I'm a financial advisor. But obviously, it does go without saying that hiring someone to help you manage your finances better and plan for the future is going to, well, from this study from Schwab, actually double your expected potential for growing for the future. There you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That is 10 habits that are keeping you poor, and obviously a little bit of information about how you can break them. Don't forget to share this video with people that you think might actually appreciate looking through this list and help them expand their financial journey and financial capability and kind of keep them growing on the path towards financial freedom and success, and not be kind of bogged down in the kind of not so financially successful area that a lot of people can find themselves in. Let me know in the comments if any of the things that I mentioned today were things that you used to do, things that you're still struggling with. Maybe you want to ask a couple of questions and advice. I mean, while I'm still growing this channel, I'm going to be very active in the comment section, giving some free financial tidbits and information that's going to help you expand your financial journey. And that's everything from me today. Pretty sure that I'll see you in the next one.